Hi guys, so for my research question, I wanted to look at how can online teaching and learning be used to accommodate at-risk learners. So I chose my research question because in my PS3 practicum, I taught a 20-2 class where there was a lot of students who had in the past not been able to pass classes and they needed to recover classes, and they did so through an alternate school program. And many of these students really did struggle with in-class traditional learning classrooms. So I wanted to look at how online learning can be a viable option for those students. Sorry. So when exploring at-risk students, I want to look at students who haven't been able to work within a traditional in-class education and see how online teaching and learning might be an option. Students who might be working full-time or unable to attend school regularly due to mental health issues, or students who might be even seen as a risk to other students. Many of these kids are unable to complete a regular education, so for them, they have to do something else. So when I was doing my research, I found that being considered an at-risk student means the students are at risk of not graduating, so it's a pretty simple term, and that depends on factors that fall into the following categories. So individual issues or problems, family, school, and community issues and problems. So those get broken down into more specific examples. So they can include coming from a low socioeconomic background or a single parent family, having siblings who have dropped out of school, changing schools multiple times, having a C average or lower for an extended period of time. And they're not prescriptive, but they are commonalities when looking at many at-risk students. High school completion is a common issue when we're looking at students, and you can see it when you're looking at evaluations of schools as well as education systems. So for example, if you look at the Fraser Institute, one of the measures is the completion rate. So many students don't finish their high school diploma, which is one of the reasons I thought that online learning might be a viable option for those kids. Much of the research I found was reporting on American stats, and they were very staggering. So every 29 seconds, another student gives up on school, or that dropouts are more than 8 times more likely to be in prison than non-dropouts. A lot of these, or the staggering amount of students who are dropping out of school is being referred to as the silent epidemic. So it's definitely an issue that needs to be addressed. When we're looking at Alberta, though, Stats Canada did some research in 2005, and the dropout rate is more divided between rural and urban centers. So urban centers have a lower dropout rate of around 10%, whereas rural and small town schools have a higher dropout rate. One of the reasons they attributed this is because rural schools are not able to allocate the same number of resources to having a larger variety of courses. And in 1995, kind of a fun fact, Alberta established one of the first virtual schools in order to combat the limited courses in rural school communities. So then it is interesting to know about whether or not online learning could change around some of these dropout rates. Students might drop out for a variety of reasons, but helping them persist through an alternative education might help them earn that diploma. So one of the things that I thought would be most interesting or most difficult to combat is motivation, especially when you're not seeing those kids every single day. So I found that the keys are having a self-paced education. So students are able to sort of take more liberties in when they're completing their schooling, so they aren't limited to a strict calendar or school schedule, which can be seen as imposing or causing stress, especially for those students who do have to work to support their families as well. Um, that's not to say that the course should be a free-for-all and you just complete it whenever you want to, but it does need to have a structure. It's just more when in the day are you completing your schooling. Along with that is flexibility. So online learning really provides the students and the teachers to work with maybe a more student-centered approach where you can do more inquiry-based projects. For some students, in-class schooling can be difficult because the material isn't as engaging, and this might be counteracted with some individualization. Online learning can also be super beneficial for behavior issues. So there's lots of students who are causing disruptions in the classroom, and that's taking a lot of time out of instruction for the teachers. That's not to say all students who talk in class should be put in online classes so that they don't have to see their friends, but maybe a blended schedule where they're doing some online work and some in-class work. Then they're building those social skills, but they're also able to get that deeper learning in without the distractions of their peers being there. Based on going further with that, some students have extreme behavior records and aren't welcomed in schools. That's not to say they don't deserve an education. So online education does give them that opportunity to graduate and move towards more positive behavior and futures. The other thing I wanted to look at was maybe some of the drawbacks and the benefits. Online courses are still a pretty new field. So, with that, and with any new field, there are emerging issues that we're seeing as well as benefits, especially when you're looking at risk students. So I found some of the drawbacks in my research was that a large amount of resources need to go into these courses in order for them to be effective. So they needs to have teachers with a high amount of engagement with their students. And there are lots of courses on the market that schools are able to purchase where there isn't as much teacher involvement and students are able to just sort of click through the program in order to get that passing grade. So there isn't that mastery level of accomplishment that you see in a classroom, and it's just more completing all the tasks in a module. So, as well as online courses require a consistent access to internet as well as consistent access to a computer. So obviously that's going to look different if it's an online course being offered through a school or one being taken by an individual. So that's something that students and schools have to contend with. So there are benefits. Despite some lackluster programming, there are a lot of online programs that are raising the bar for students and teachers. So both teachers and admin understand that online learning gives an opportunity for new learning environments that might help some of those kids that struggle with behavior. And they also offer a lot of opportunities for personalized instruction. Online learning places the ownership onto the students to learn material on their own schedule, as opposed to having to be told what they need to know in a very structured classroom. Digital courses are changing the conversation about what credit recovery looks like. So before, students were seeing it as summer school where they had to go in and fill out a bunch of forms and listen to a monotone lecture forever. But now it's a little bit more adapted to those individual students, and they can take ownership over it. And it also gives them the opportunity to work within their own schedule. So thanks for listening. Here are my references if you guys want to take a look at them. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If not, I hope it was okay. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the semester. Good luck, guys. Bye.